like, I don't want to be this person. I was literally sick of being sick of being tired, sick of being broke. Like, you literally have to get to that breaking point for you to make that decision.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kessler, and I'm the host of the podcast, Rewiring Health. Whether you're an entrepreneur who feels like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, trying to juggle all aspects of business, or you're a corporate employee who feels like you're pulled in multiple directions, trying to excel and meet deadlines, or you're a passionate parent who feels like you pour your heart and soul into your children and there's not much left for you, you're in the right place. This podcast is designed to give you tools, tips, and strategies around how you can cultivate balance within your life, feel energized and present, and stop feeling like you're compromising your health and inner harmony. I am so glad you're here. During the release of this episode, we're just coming off the holiday season. And as you, I'm sure, have experienced in your life, it can be really demanding. And as you can hear in my voice, it has taken a toll on me. But it's really important to recognize how we can start to cultivate trust within ourselves and actually honor ourselves. And during the time of the recording of this episode, I was healthy, so you don't have to listen to this the entire episode. But I do want to share this important message with you. And if you're ever feeling like you're going through the motions of life and just doing things and feeling unfulfilled, and you're just trying to meet the demands of everyone around you, you're not alone. You feel like you're exhausted, your health is impacted, but you feel trapped. So, how do you transform your life and escape everything that is holding you down? In this episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Christine Ennis. We dive into how you can change your story and transform your life. Christine Ennis is a visionary entrepreneur, storyteller, and the CEO and founder of the Corporate Escapists, a renowned media company that harnesses the power of storytelling to help entrepreneurs attract their ideal clients. With a deep understanding of the profound impact stories have on their human connection and consumer behavior, Christine has revolutionized the way entrepreneurs communicate and sell their products and services. This episode goes deep into how we can get stuck in a toxic success trap and maybe not even recognize it until it comes hitting us hard. And if you're feeling like you're going through the motions and you feel like you're constantly trying to keep up with demands and lack a lot of control in your life, this is an episode you do not want to miss. It was such an honor to speak with Christine, and I know there's so much value in this episode. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. High achievement does not come without a price tag, and sometimes it's our health. If you're wondering if high achievement is compromising your well-being, take my free quiz in the show notes. Welcome back to another episode of Rewiring Health. This is going to be such a transformative and valuable conversation, I know for sure, because we're just chatting here a little bit, but I'm so grateful to welcome Christine Ennis onto the podcast. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We're talking a little bit, but I really want to dive into what brought you to what you do today. And can you mind talking about your backstory and the journey that you've had that brought you to the people that you serve today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we're all told growing up, you go to school, you get a good job, you might have to go to uni, and then when you retire, that's when you have fun. Well, the universe obviously had different plans for me. So, 2015, I was actually diagnosed with two life-changing illnesses. So I was diagnosed with adult asthma and also a heart condition within 10 days of each other. I then realized I was in a toxic, unfixable marriage. I then had to file for bankruptcy and ended up sleeping on my parents' couch. I call it the Mack truck of the universe awakening. Obviously I wasn't listening, but it was the best thing that happened to me because obviously it led me to where I am today. But, working in corporate, I didn't see the signs where I wasn't lit up, I wasn't inspired. There would be days where I would go to work and I don't even remember the car ride. It was like I was on this autopilot and, there was me trying to pretend to be somebody else or what I thought people needed me to be. And so all of these sort of like catalysts of, things that happened, and it's crazy that it all happened literally within, like, it was that 1 year, but it happened very, very quickly with it on top of each other. But it made me obviously wake up, but it also made me realize that there's more to life than literally going to work and making yourself sick.
Yeah.
And now I get to, share my story and now show other people how to design a life you love.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing your story because it's so relatable. Like, and I was just telling you a little bit about my backstory, but like there's so many people who feel exactly what you feel. It's like you're trapped, you don't know any way out. You can see how it's impacting you, but there's that like level of success. It's like how, it just keeps you going. It's like you
Yeah.
put so much time and effort into it. How do I leave this now? Or I need this paycheck. How do I leave this now? I just have to
Yeah.
do a little bit more, put my dues in, like all these stories that we tell ourselves that keep ourselves stuck. And it becomes a very toxic trap of success. And so I can totally relate to what you're saying. I love how you say, it's like those things that at the time you're going through them, it's probably, in the Mack truck of life, it's like, when you're going through something like that, it can hit you hard, but it's like when you come out of it on the other side, you can realize that some of the things that you thought were working against you were really working for you. And that's such a beautiful gift to take from that. Can you dive into it more of like so after you had that Mack truck of life hit you, how did you start to change your mentality, change your health, change everything about your life that brought you to where you are now?
It took a while. Like it literally was not like a light bulb moment. I wish it was, but I would literally say it took me a good 4 years. I would say that was my pity party. It was the poor me, the why me, everything's happening to me with it. But there were slow little things that started to happen. And the very first thing that happened was a, a family member, because I'd been living away for 10 years and coming back. And somebody said to me, well, what are you doing now? Now, I never have a problem talking, but I could not answer that question because I didn't have a job. And it was the first time in my whole life that I was not working. So it made me realize, going, well, why can't I answer it? Like, what was that, you know, thing that is stopping me? And obviously, like I said, it was one question and then a whole heap of other different things that happened. But that one question really got me thinking, well, who am I? And it's really funny how, your brain works. That then I remembered a conversation years ago that an old colleague was telling me about creating a process called your ideal day. And from that, it was a beautiful process where I sat down. I'm like going, okay, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be sleeping on my parents' couch. Like, I don't want to be this person. I was literally sick of being sick of being tired, sick of being broke. Like, you literally have to get to that breaking point for you to make that decision. And I then discovered personal development, spirituality, and then dove into that for a few years and got my confidence back. I have healed my heart condition, and I still live with asthma, but as things started to improve in me, I'm like going, okay, this is the process, this is what I need to do. And then the encouragement came from when people who knew me said to me, you look so different, and I don't know how you can be so happy with everything that you've been through. And I just kept going down. I don't want to call it a rabbit hole because it was really exciting. Like, it was sort of like learning different techniques and, with personal development and that as well. But yeah, it was a combination of, first of all, the foundation was ideal day, actually dreaming again. And I think the biggest thing was giving myself permission to do that, because so many times when you go through something like that, you end up back into like a childlike state. So you actually have to either wait for someone to say, I give you permission to do this, or you have to say it yourself. And it's like a physical thing. You have to say, I give myself permission.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't feel like you're worthy enough of doing it.
Oh my gosh, so true. It is so true. And it's amazing like how it can be such a sticking point where you like feel like someone just tell me to do this, you know? It's like I
Yeah,
totally can relate. It's like that permission. And it's like it's often really hard to get it for ourselves, you know? It's like
yeah.
yeah, like to give ourselves that permission to take a step back, give ourselves some grace, have that self-compassion and start to really dream about what we do want. And like you said earlier, to get stuck in that autopilot is such an easy trap to get stuck into. And one other thing that you talked about earlier that really hit me was like the sense of identity. And it's like when you didn't have your job, it's like your identity was out the window, you know, it's like, who am I? And it is like we often identify ourselves as external things. So what's our job? What are our hobbies? What are our achievements? But like that's not who you are. It's like who are you at the core? And until we,
Mm,
again, give ourselves permission to really dive into that, we can go through life feeling lost and like we don't even know ourselves. So
yeah.
I love that you dove into that and your personal development journey. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, what did that look like, your personal development journey?
Well, obviously, I was quite broke. So it was going to the library and, reading books and like YouTube videos. Like, there's so much information out there. And I then was able to, get enough money. I started with a couple of different coaches. Over the past few years, I've probably spent over $100,000 on myself. And it sounds like extreme to other people, but I know the work that I need to do on myself and, to be able to take me where I want to go. And, that's allowed me now to obviously speak on global stages and, create a global business. But the reading books for me actually got me because I'm such a visual person, so I could sort of visualize what they were saying and to see it, come to life. And then, just watching YouTube videos, and I started to think of who are the people that I truly admire, and there's parts of them that I would love to see in myself. And it's funny because now after doing the work, and I know that you would appreciate this, that what you see in other people, you actually have in yourself,
Mhm.
and I didn't think that I did. So I would sort of like, oh, these are all these people that I, just want tiny little bits of it. But
Yeah.
being sort of, even though I couldn't be in the same room as them, you're still surrounded by them, you're still listening to them. It's almost like you start to absorb their amazing energy as well. And that power of positivity really changed everything. And it was just then, okay, well, what's next? What course can I do? What else can I learn? Who else can I work with? Who else do I need to be surrounded by? And even today, it's like, I'm very careful of my circle, who I'm around, coaches that I work with, even, people who I bring into my business and who I want to work with.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I think it's really important, for people after you've gone through different things, you start to actually know your worth again. And
Yeah.
that's a really big thing for anybody out there who, might be sitting there going, they're so confused, they don't know who they are. It's because we don't know our worth. We actually don't know how valuable we really are.
Yeah, I think they hit the nail on the head. That is so it is all about our worth. And it's like until you start to cultivate that worth and realize your worth, you don't realize how little of it you had, before. It's like it's amazing. And it's like I think there's a quote, I'll probably say it wrong by here, but it's like your life settles down to the level of your worth. And
Mm,
so we don't rise, our worth doesn't rise to what's going on around us. Everything settles down to our level of worth. So it all starts within us. We have to cultivate that worth and realize like I deserve better than this. I'm worth more than this. And then everything starts to change to do that. And, you just
yeah,
talked on that. It's like the circle of people around you, the opportunities, like, saying no to things that don't resonate with you, people that don't resonate with you. It's like you start again to give yourself permission that like,
mm,
no, this doesn't fit me versus like often in life, we try to fit everyone else and we can get lost in the process. So I love how you speak on worth and the energy too that you talked about sharing the energy. It's so true. Like right now, we're across the globe and it's like we're sharing energy. When people listen to this, they're going to gain
yeah,
some energy from each of us in this. And if we can do this and then have the beauty of like, this internet that we can all share this and these podcasts, books, everything. It's like, like you said, the resources are there. You just have to find the ones that will elevate your energy to the level that you want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, like, as far as the changes, like the people you've accepted, like boundaries can be really, really tough with that, especially if you've never really had them. Can you talk about your experience, like where, if that was ever a struggle for you, and if it was, like, how did you overcome that? Because it sounds like you are, really selective about who you're allowing in your life now.
Yeah, I think there's different boundaries for every area of your life. And like this is still a big work in progress. And it's interesting. I had this conversation with my coach like a couple of weeks ago. And I love the analogy. She said, Christine, when you open the gate, it's like a floodgate for you because you're such a giver. So, I am a people pleaser. And, I used to say I'm a recovering people pleaser, but I don't think you can ever recover. Like there's always that trait within you that you just want to give so much. And because I've been through so much, I think I've got so much empathy for people that I just want to help them. But one key thing I've learned is you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. And the other thing is is you helping them, you trying to save them, or is that sort of feeding something in it? So it's not more as such a boundary, it's more going, well, why are you doing it? Because I think we think of boundaries going, oh, okay, well, I'm not allowing this person in or I'm not doing that. It's literally your why you're doing something. And it literally has only taken me the last couple of months to sort of work this out, because like, why do I give and I don't get stuff back in return? Or, why maybe you're not making the money, and all that sort of stuff. But it's because you're still feeding something inside of you that is serving a purpose at that time. And that could be because you're still a people, you people pleaser. It could be, a limiting belief. It could be a trauma, or, anything of those things. But instead of thinking of it as a boundary, think of it, why is this serving you a purpose?
Mhm.
Because it does come back to self. Like you can have as many boundaries as you want, but as soon as you open that boundary gate, if you've got nothing in place to sort of stop that or to slow it down, then the boundary is not going to work.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful perspective to look at it, because it can feel very like black and white with boundaries. So it's like really nice
Yeah.
to see that. And it's like, okay, when you do let people in, how are you approaching it? What's the lens in which you're viewing it? So it's a really beautiful perspective with that. And thank you for sharing that. And one thing just going kind of off of what we're talking about, like, I know one thing, and I think I saw it on one of your posts or something like that, but you're talking about values. And this is something that, again, it seems intuitive that we would have values in our life, but there's so many of us who go through life, and if you were to ask somebody like, what are your values, it might be really hard to answer, like, or really get to the core of like, what are our actual values? So can you talk about that with you, like what has been your journey with discovering your values, living through your values, and how you help others discover that too?
Yeah. So there's two parts to values that I always say, that if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for everything. And literally, that's what I was doing my whole entire life. So I was falling for the wrong relationships. I was just saying yes in all my career, like all those sorts of things, because I didn't have the strong values. So if you are, with every job that you've ever gone to, every company has a list of values, and we tend to take on those. So why don't we have them for ourselves? So your values are something, if you think of a tree and the root system, the values are your root system. So it will actually weather you through all the different storms and hold you grounded. So what, people are like, oh yeah, of course, like family is my value. Okay. Is it a top value that, for me, if my son was to ring me even right now, I would like go, I'll just quickly message him and, make sure it's not urgent, all those sorts of things, because family is really important to me. Authenticity is very important to me because it's not just about, you know what I see in myself, but it's also what I see in others. So I always see values as a cross exchange. So I say I need to show up authentically because I actually want to attract authentic clients.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's literally, what are you going to shout from the rooftop and just go, this is what I stand for? And then you can use it, like if you start dating, you can use it when you're applying for a job, you can use it, with friends. Because if you have a mismatch of values, then something's going to come up and it's going to either trigger you or trigger them, and there's going to be conflict. So
Mhm.
if you can find people with similar values, I'm not saying they have to be in that perfect alignment, like absolutely everything, because that's not, because we're all unique individuals, so it's not ever going to work. But find people that are similar in your values and have these conversations, with your loved ones. Like, these are my values. And I found it really easy now to say no to things if it doesn't align to my values.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so great because it is so true. It's like there's things we can compromise, but that's not one of them, and it
No.
shouldn't be one of them. And it is beautiful. I like how you give the analogy of the roots because that really is such an anchor into everything in our life. And if we have that, it's going to give us some semblance of control within our life that like this is what I accept, this is what I don't accept. Versus like if you don't know what those are at your core, it can be very easy to like, should I say yes? Should I say no? What do I do? And especially if you're a people pleaser, I could see how it can very become wishy-washy easily and
Yeah.
yes to everyone. So yes, I love that. And I love how you describe the values and even just bringing them into your conversations and diving deeper, understanding each other, because it's like those deeper conversations, especially with the ones we love, that which is what melds us together and really allows us to feel our values are being
Yeah.
respected and cultivate connectivity between people. So yes, I love that. For someone who maybe is listening to this and maybe they're stuck in their job, like they feel like I don't know how to get out of this, like they're that maybe where you were years ago, feel very trapped. What would your advice be in just a place to start today? Like what's something they could do today that could help them just go in the smallest direction forward?
It's gratitude,
Mhm.
because a lot of the times we can do, like, we can build up this anger, resentment, and all this sort of stuff, like, especially when things go wrong. And um, if you can switch it to gratitude, so, if I look at going, oh, I really don't like where I'm working right now, but I'm really grateful because it pays my bills, it puts food on the table, it gets me there. But then you literally start to change your mindset, and you literally can change the energy and the physiology sort of like within your body, because then you can actually see opportunities that will come to. And when you're in a state of gratitude, you can't be unhappy. And I know it sounds like, oh, well, I just want to plan. I just want to know how to exit. Well, that's actually, you can't attract more unless you're grateful for what you have. So if you want a different job, you've got to be grateful for the one that you currently have. If you want a better house, you've got to be grateful for the house that you have. If you want a better car, like, all these different things, be grateful for what you currently have, because you may get it even if you're not grateful, but you'll never truly appreciate it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I always say to people, practice the gratitude first, because when you can let go of all the negativity side of things, that will then allow the possibilities of really what you do want to open up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. And it is a slippery slope of that wanting more and more and more, but never feeling fulfilled with what you have. And it's like, if you don't feel fulfilled, no matter
Yeah.
what you get, you're going to have this emptiness in you. And it is really that gratitude that fills you up. And it's like, there's actually a science to that. It's that reticular activating system in your brain that filters out the world. So if you start seeing things to be grateful for, you start seeing more things to be grateful for, and it
Yeah.
becomes very easy. So yeah, I love that. What a great starting point again for someone, because it's something that's actionable. We can do this right now, and it can start really being such a catalyst to move you in a better direction. I
Yeah.
love that. For someone who wanted to connect with you and get in contact with you, find you, where can they find you?
So probably on socials is going to be the easiest. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it's at the Corporate Escapists. Or you can head over to the website as well. But I'm very active, and if you DM me, it's me, it's nobody else. So
Love that. Awesome. And I'll put that all in the show notes. So for anyone who's listening and wants to connect with you, definitely do so. Follow her on Instagram. And I just can't thank you enough for having this conversation and just sharing all your value and just being here today. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for someone who's listening, if you found value in this, because there's so much value and there's so many actionable things, share it with someone else who can also benefit from this. That's the most beautiful way to share these things and start giving people these little catalysts to move their life forward. So thank you again for everyone who's listening. And thank you again, Christine, for being here.
Thank
Hey there. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope it serves you well to start rewiring your brain to create the life you desire. If you found value in this, please share it with a friend and tag me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Kelly Kessler.